So hi, I'm Don. I'm with Sqreen. We're a web security company. So if you're interested in web application security, we should have a talk. But I've come today to talk a bit about. So I have a series of talks in which I try to convince you to take security more seriously than you do in your web applications and everything else that you do. And I'm trying different tacks of this. And so we have a new tack today. Comparing security and UX, because I think the two are actually pretty closely tied. I'm going to make an argument that the two are pretty closely tied. And this is my first time giving this talk, so we're going to see how it goes. So the first question I want to ask you is, why do we even bother thinking about UX? Are there designers in the room, or people who do like front-end development, or why do we care about UX? We won't pass the thing around, just yell. Anyone? Keep So keep it simple, keep customers engaging with the product, implement reactive UI. I like number 2 a lot. We want to keep customers engaged with our product, right? This is a big part of growth. It's a big part of the hockey stick, right? Keeping customers engaged with the product, keeping them using the product, and getting them to promote the product, right? Because this is the best channel for organic growth for a product is user referrals, right? And UX matters a lot to this, because this is the way that the users interact with your product. It's the first line that users see, basically, right? So here's why we care about UX, right? Is we want this, and we want lots of it, right? And so I want to make an argument based on this notion of the importance of UX, that security is much the same. I'm gonna do this in 3 parts. And so first I want to argue that bad security is bad UX. So if UX is the art of engaging users, hooking users, keeping users, getting users to promote you, right? Then bad UX leads to user churn, right? This is one of the 2 things that we're trying to prevent by obsessing over the number of clicks it takes to onboard, or obsessing over an animation. Is we want to reduce the churn. We want to increase new users, right? So what happens when user data is stolen from your website? Well, a recent survey says about 64% of your customers say they ain't coming back, right? Talk about churn. Holy crap. Although the risk of actually having this kind of security breach is quite low, the results are catastrophic, right? At this point, it doesn't really matter how much you obsessed over each last little click in your onboarding flow. If you didn't obsess over security, you're screwed, right? So bad security, I forget the title. Bad security is bad UX, right? Insofar as we care about user churn, user trust, keeping people on the platform, keeping them promoting it, a data breach is the worst way to achieve that. In fact, it's the best way to achieve the opposite of that. And so if you're obsessing over clicks are easy to obsess over. You can obsess over those all day long. A little bit of obsession over security is going to go much, much further in ensuring that users keep using your product. All right, that's enough of the doom and gloom, though. So some good security is bad UX, and therefore bad security. So I hate this guy. I hate it even more when you don't see it, or it's revealed bit by bit as you try passwords. Or you cannot paste it, although we're coming to that one, right? What does this do? Well, talk about onboarding click counts, right? Half the time when I see something like this, I just forget signing up. Like screw this, I'm not going to play this game of trying to figure these things out. And I'm obsessive about good passwords, right? I use 1Password. I ensure that the security on them is all the way up. We've got symbols, whatever. Fine, I can take care of this. But yeah, then the moment I use 1Password and I get this thing, I'm not going there, right? So 1, this is bad UX. You've just lost a customer. There's some churn. Bam, like that. 2, you're encouraging bad security behavior in your users. Even if they do make it over this hurdle, you've got a couple of other things facing you that are real problems. The first of which is password reuse, right? So when you see this sort of thing, you're just encouraging customers to, oh God, it's one of these. I'm just going to reuse this 1Password that I know that meets most of these requirements. And if it doesn't meet these requirements, I'm going to mutate it a little bit. But from a security perspective, that's nothing, right? A little mutation is basically no mutation. So you're encouraging users to reuse passwords. And then two, if you're my father-in-law, you're also encouraging them just to write them down because they're impossible to remember and they don't know anything about 1Password, right? By enforcing this sort of thing, you are incentivizing them to act insecurely. So it's bad UX, it's bad security. Just don't do it. There are other more subtle, more insidious ways that this pops up, by the way. This is just the worst offending case that I could find. So some good UX is bad security, and therefore bad UX. So how many of you saw Ars Technica's article on this? They fixed it, Greyhound did. So Greyhound Bus Lines is a trans-state or interstate bus line in the United States. They had a really user-friendly system for when you click that forgot my password button, it just emailed your password to you, right? Which is really convenient, right? And now I don't have to go through these extra steps of making a new password and ensuring that it conforms with that screen we saw earlier, and so on and so forth. But of course, now we've just sent a plain text password over email, which, you know, we might as well send it through the mail. I don't know anybody in France who does that, least of all my bank. But we're getting to that one. There are more insidious ways that this sort of thing can crop up. So how many of you have applications where you have users sign up and you confirm their email? That's a really, I understand if not all of you are raising your hands because maybe you don't all have applications or you don't have users. That's not really a security thing, confirming emails. But then how many of you who raised your hands also confirm email on email change requests? And how many of you send the email to the original email address? You can lie, it's okay. We're all friends here. So I once worked for a company that decided this is all terrible UX. This is so much friction. Why do we want to insert this friction and make the user experience terrible? Just let them change their email address if they want to change their email address. Well, the danger there is pretty clear, right? All you have to do is steal somebody's session key, not terribly difficult as we just learned, because you're not using HTTPS either, are you? And then an attacker can use that session key to log in as you, change the password to their, email to their email, and then from that point, they can use the forgotten password to retrieve the password, set a new password. They don't even have to go to the password form because you're probably doing the right thing and requiring them to type in the old password to change to the new password, right? Right? Lots of insidious ways that UX decisions can infect the security of your application, and therefore I think overall affect the UX of the application, right? Because you're just opening up the possibility of user breach. You're opening up the possibility of that user not coming back. So the last thing I want to bring up here is security theater is also bad UX, and therefore bad security. But I guess that's sort of a derogatory term already, so that should hardly be surprising. So I found this gem on WhatsApp's FAQ today. This is a fun one. So WhatsApp recently released two-factor authentication for WhatsApp. So if you want to sign in, what they do is from a new device, they send a request to your phone number, and you reply with the 6-digit PIN that you've memorized, which is a really weird way to do TFA, but it probably works. That's fine. But then what they do is they're just going to periodically ask you to enter your PIN even when you aren't authenticating, right? You want to start a new conversation. Hey, by the way, what's your PIN? Just so you don't forget it. Why are they doing this? Well, they want to ensure that you don't lose access to your account. They want to give you the impression that they're taking security very seriously, but what they're actually doing is they're incentivizing you to turn off 2FA, thus making your account less secure. Any Societe Generale customers in here? Seen this before? This is my favorite bit of security theater. So apparently at one point they had a client who had a requirement that the login to Societe Generale be immune to key logging activities. And so they implemented this delightful little thing where you have to use a mouse to type in your 6-digit numeric PIN. And then you hit enter and it goes through. You can't type it in because that would allow a keylogger. And because the keyboard's been disabled, you can't paste it in either. I told you I was coming back to that. Also, it's a 6-digit number, which is not the world's strongest password. I haven't actually checked to see if there's any sort of rate limiting on top of trying different passwords. I hope that they've got something like that, but excellent. Okay, so they do. So that's a good step. But the problem here is, and we see this in lots of other places as well. The problem is twofold. So one, you can't use your 1Password to manage your password here. Two, you can't change your PIN to begin with, right? And so if somebody gets hold of your PIN because you wrote it down somewhere, because you can't use 1Password with it, they've got access to the kingdom. Right, so there's a lot of security questions that are lying behind this sort of thing that it just covers up, right? Moreover, I'm pretty sure they mailed me the PIN when I opened my account, right? So it's security theater. It's bad UX. It's going to leave a bad taste in somebody's mouth if their account gets breached, right? So what I want to argue in this talk is that security and UX go hand in hand. Good security leads to good UX leads to good security. If you think about it carefully, you think about the incentives that you're creating with your UX, you think about the incentives that you're creating with your security regime. These two things are aligned, right? You want to keep your customers happy, you want to keep your customers secure, and to the extent that you can keep these things aligned, your product is going to be that much better for it. So again, my name is Don. Thank you very much for listening to me today. I'm happy to take your questions.
Any questions?
Are you guys hiring?
I'm so glad you asked. In fact, if you know C or you know Java, we are hiring. Yes, also, if you're concerned about having your webcam hacked, we have some webcam covers with us today. Was that, oh yeah. Come see me. Legitimate questions. No?
No?
Cool. Thank you so much
Don.
for having me.